Today I am joined by Adam Borics ahead of what looks like the biggest fight in his career so far. How are you feeling for Bellator 286, buddy?
I feel great, man. Ready to go.
Ready to go. And as well, you look at this fight, obviously it's one of the biggest so far in your career, and obviously you won't be overlooking your opponent in any way. But do you feel as though if you do capture the belt, that your outlook and your perspective on the division would change a little bit, knowing that you become the guy that people would have to beat to get the belt?
Yeah, that's the normal way. I think, always they are saying, oh, that's Adam's Borics biggest fight in his life. Yeah, of course, because I always get higher and higher. So that's normal for me.
Yeah, and obviously so far during your pro career, you've been on an absolute tear, 18-1. You've had lots of submission finishes, the flying knees as well. You can't forget about those. They've been brilliant to see. Do you want to return to the finishing ways? Obviously, there's been a few decisions which have looked great in as well, but do you want to try and get a finish this fight and make a statement?
Of course, I go there and I want to make a statement, just like always.
100%. And then we take a look in terms of this fight on paper. Obviously, going into you'll have the underdog title, but it's a very close fight. Do you like the fact that you're going in there with the underdog status? Do you like the fact that you can go and cause a sort of upset victory in a sense?
I mean, I've been underdog maybe on my whole career, so I just want they have to put some respect on my name, after this fight also. So I'm good with that. I'm not looking around those odds or something. I just go there and do my job.
100%. And as you mentioned there, obviously, in terms of getting that respect with a winner, you'll definitely get it. You've been one of those under the radar fighters that have really they've shown throughout their entire career. Do you feel as though this is one of those fights that could change your MMA career, or do you feel as though getting that belt's basically just the beginning of what you've always planned for?
I think this is just a beginning of my career. My career is ahead of me, not behind me. So I'm still young, 29. So I'm planning to stay on the top very, very long,
Yeah, but and being 29 and obviously being in this position already, it gives the potential for you to really become one of the best fighters that Bellator's seen. Obviously, with 29 and the years that you have, is that the goal for you? Do you want to be known as one of the best fighters that we've seen in Bellator so far?
Yes, of course. He been a great champion so long, and I wanna be the best. So I have to be the best. And now he's the pound for pound. So it's perfect matchup for me.
Yeah, and then taking just another look at the fight in terms of obviously everyone knows what Pitbull's about this so far in his career. But do you feel as though he's ever faced anyone like yourself, or if you feel he has faced someone maybe similar, how do you feel he fares with an opponent like yourself?
It's gonna be different because he's very, very short. I never faced a guy who's like that short, but I already beat a former champ, so I think I'm ready for this. I'm ready for everybody. I think he's a good matchup for me, stylistically. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then also I like to always ask about the MMA scene in a fighter's country, obviously being Hungary. What does the MMA scene look like over there in terms of the progression that it's been making? If you had to reflect on it a little bit, what does MMA look like in that country at the moment, buddy?
I mean, the sport is more popular because of me, and I want to see more fighters in big leagues, and I think the time will come. But this is gonna be definitely a big turn in Hungarian MMA when I get the belt, So it's gonna be huge. Whole country is very, very excited about my fight, and it's gonna be a history.
100%. And then, as you mentioned, obviously the fans that seem to be really behind you for this one in terms of the support. So seeing that pretty much it looks as though most of the country's behind you, does having the country's support going into a fight like this, does that give you even extra motivation for you?
Definitely, it gives me extra motivation, and especially when I will see a couple of Hungarian flags in the arena, it's gonna give me a booster, So I don't feel extra pressure on myself. I'm just very motivated,
Yeah, and now just taking another look at the fight, obviously I'm sure you'll be asked this question a lot this week, but in terms of sort of your predictions for this fight, or the ideal route of where this fight goes, what do you see that looking like?
I mean, I see my hand raised, and of course, I always looking for a finish. I want to make a statement, but I have to fight very smart. He has a lot of experience. He's a counter fighter. He has a good left hook right hand. He has a good guillotine choke, but I'm ready for those things.
Yeah, and then obviously you've spent a long time in Bellator so far now. You've had a lot of fights there. Obviously, winning the belt, I'm sure, would be the best memory that you've had so far. But looking before that, what would you say has been the big memory for you in terms of the proudest one that you've had so far in Bellator that you might look back on and get a little few goosebumps, or just the one that you think of and think, wow, I actually went and did that?
I mean, my last fight was incredible. I really enjoyed that. That was a 5 rounds war, main event, and I really like that memory. That was a really, really fucking hard fight, and I really enjoyed every second. So that's what I love it, fighting. So it's just fun for me. The most important thing for me, have a fun over there. And if I have a fun, I'm doing good.
100%. And then, as you mentioned there, with the 5 rounds, the main event, obviously, this, in my eyes, seems as though it's going to be a running trend, regardless of what happens with this fight. But do you feel as though this is the level that you deserve to be at now? Where do you expect those sort of main events in the 5 round fights that you've been able to get? Is that where you feel you are at now?
Yeah, definitely.
100%. And then just one of the last few things from me, in terms of if you could ever send a message in terms of Pitbull ahead of this fight, from yourself to him, what would the message look like that you could give to him for what you can expect to see Bellator 286?
He knows, I am a very dangerous fighter for him. I don't want to say nothing bullshit, so I'm not kind of guy. I show up in the cage, so that my message is going to be in the cage.
100%. And then that's everything from me. So if you just want to, feel free to just take a moment, share any sponsors, coaches, teammates, anything like that. Socials, obviously, just feel free to go ahead.
I want to just say thank you everybody who support me.
Yeah, well, that is everything from me. Obviously, be ready to see. I've stutter there, but never mind. Obviously, be excited to see Adam Borics back in the cage. He's going to be looking to make a statement and walk away as a champion. I appreciate your time very much, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKickMMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.